All right, guys, I know Cassius will not be at pre-council, and I haven't heard from Ms. Howard.
She just walked in her office, so she should
Okay.
be here directly.
Very good. So the motion, we approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. Mr. Junkin. Or Virgil.
Who?
All right, this is one that's been tabled multiple times, it burned out a couple, 2 or 3 years ago. Man's made some significant improvements to it. He plans to be here tonight to, see if he can get a little bit more time. That's what it looked like this morning.
That's so good that he's made a lot of progress. I'm glad
What is
about
his
that.
name?
James Seaton.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's done.
Silly. That's what
he's
I'm
done
now
all
I
right.
know.
Get him to work on mine.
So this time, are you asking us to turn him loose, or what are you asking for today?
Let's keep him on a little bit longer, because I'm not completely satisfied with what he got done on the inside.
Okay, so
90
what is your
days?
recommendation, 90?
Let's do 90.
Okay,
If y'all
cool.
okay with it.
Let's work it. All right.
That's good.
Okay, got one.
This next one's in Mr. Wilson's district. At the corner of 8th Street, 36th Avenue. This house has been on our radar for multiple years.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you.
Talked to the owner. He's saying he wants to save the house, but he's also saying he don't have the money to make the repairs. His brother is on board with, condemning it. And
I like your new photos you're doing. No, I'm serious.
Harold,
Are we using our drone for that, or is that
I think-
pulled off of Google Earth?
I think we're starting to move in that direction.
trying to.
It looks good.
It really does.
Yeah, it sure does.
It gives a perspective of the neighborhood a little bit.
Thank you. I know it may take a little extra work, but that's really good.
We got the drone and the helicopter at our disposal we needed.
We got a bunch of helicopters coming.
About 5?
Have 5 helicopters.
So Mary,
Four.
the neighbors have
We
been,
do try to
That
use
fly.
our
talked to them a lot, and they have really been concerned about that house.
Go get a couple
Because
more.
rodents
We
and
had to wait
snakes
till
and all
it got
that.
to this kind of condition before we could actually condemn it.
Gotcha, because it's been empty a long time.
It's been empty since 13 that I know of.
Right.
It'd be a nice house. Where is that?
It really
It's right at the corner of 8th
MLK.
Street and,
Near MLK.
no,
So
it's
what-
right near Friendship Baptist Church.
So what are you recommending?
Tear it down.
Tear it down. Yes, sir.
Go along with the brother.
Whether he comes tonight or not, I would recommend tearing it down, because we did have this in process in 13. He come in and made just enough repairs to get it
I
off the
remember
radar, and
Yeah.
he ain't touched his house.
That's, yep.
He literally has not touched his house in 10 years.
Yeah. It's been a nuisance to the land, to the property owners and the people that live around it.
Right.
And so I've been talking to them, so thank you for your recommendation.
Is there not
I accept
somebody
it.
buy that? I mean,
If
that
you don't
could
condemn
be a nice
anything
one.
else this year, put this
As many
one on.
people that are.
Oh, yeah. Mine. This
Let's
one.
get Mr. Seeley to buy it.
Yes,
I like that.
He's making a CDBG loan.
I'm probably not supposed to say that, but this one's been on our radar for a while.
It's been empty for over 10 years.
Man, we believe in you and Virgil.
Exactly.
You tell us what you think.
Yeah.
We
The
appreciate it.
truth is better than not hearing it,
Right.
honestly, you know.
Be careful what you wish for.
Hey, I can stand it.
Y'all bend over backwards before you bring up recommendations.
Yes,
To help everybody.
yes.
So if you're saying that, that says a lot.
Thank you.
That's all we have.
That's all you had
tonight.
today?
Yes,
Thank you both.
sir. Thank y'all.
See you
this
tonight.
evening.
All right. Zach.
All right, so this is, as you'll recall, Life on Fort is coming back to you guys for a vote tonight. So y'all have heard this one, admin and policy. I've got a little history here for you. So Planning and Zoning Commission did not recommend approval. You guys heard this admin policy on June 7th. It was tabled until August 9th, which is today, and they will request to table again to September 13th.
Any reasoning for wanting to table?
So they are still working on their floor plans from the last conversations that we've had.
So if we, I'm sorry.
Have you all been in any conversation with them to see any kind of new floor plans?
We had, yeah, we met with them last week, just Mr. Adcox, Mr. Ford, and, Mr. Cabnis. And they had some updated floor plans that they were still working on, but they weren't quite there yet. And they wanted to provide renderings as well with what those might look like. So that's kind of what they're working on.
If we don't table it, does it go away, or how do you, what
So
happens?
it would be, you would vote on it tonight, so there could be a motion to table, and if that doesn't go forward, or, you know, no motion to table, if that's not what y'all are willing to do, and then, if that doesn't go through, then you guys would vote whether or not to approve or deny. Whatever you would have.
Okay. That it?
That's not it. No.
Okay.
You know me too well. This next one is R&R Cigar. So they are proposing to rezone from BGO DROD to BC DROD. This was introduced to you guys a little while back. You guys are all familiar with the property over there. Councilor Lean Wallace.
It's been
So-
asked to table too.
Yeah, they are requesting the table for
Yeah,
2
they're
weeks, August 23rd.
Because of Brian Winters, their attorney, and he's not gonna be here.
He's not able to be at this meeting, so they
Okay.
requested the table.
That saves the fund till the 23rd.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
I may be sick that day.
You know, the neighbors have said a lot about that. There's been a lot of
Do we have
discussion
to vote on this thing still?
concerning this. Okay.
No,
Had discussion
you
for a
don't.
while. This next one is a rezoning, for Alabama One Credit Union on Jack Warner. So it's, this property here, just across from, where the golf course is being proposed, over in that area for UA. So this was brought to our attention because they did request, some permits, and we
Yeah.
realized that it was zone institutional, but it's not affiliated with a public, with anything related to, the public or the university. So they are reclassifying it to, reflect the current use of the property, which is that Alabama One Credit Union. And they went to the July 2022 GCC meeting, and it was unanimously recommended for approval, and you guys are just setting up a public hearing date for September.
I'm sorry.
And then this next one I have here is another rezoning, so this is for Eat My Beats. This is, located just off Jug Factory Road, so this is at the intersection of Jug Factory Road and McFarland Boulevard East, just south of Skyland Boulevard. So, you know, you turn left on Jug Factory off of Skyland, or off of McFarland to head towards Greenland. So that's over in that area, I'm sure y'all are familiar. Currently zone ML, they're wanting, this is where Eat My Beats currently operates out of. They have that, that building right there in the middle of your screen is
Yes.
their current location. They have some, you know, they store obviously their, a lot of their stuff there, but they also have a retail component. And that vacant area is where they are going to, build a restaurant / listening room, so more of like a, acoustic or lower end, kind of venue.
What is Eat My Beats?
It's
It's
a music place.
store.
And they teach.
And have
They-
parties
they-
there.
they-
They teach.
Kids.
They
Music.
teach kids and teach
You know, they
music
can
and.
have sell instruments.
So whereas they were looking at that old church across from Leland Lanes at one time.
Oh, yeah,
I was
they-
hoping that would work out.
Yeah.
I
I believe
but
they're
it-
just gonna try and utilize the property that they're currently on.
but it was just a little too pricey.
And so again, this is just setting public hearing date. And final one for you guys tonight, so this
Well,
is
do we
again,
assume there'll be a alcohol license request coming?
I'm sure there will be.
Really?
And then this next one is North River Marina Condominiums. This is a planned unit development. This is going to be 34 residential condominium units, a restaurant that currently exists there as an event space that they're gonna renovate, and then 15,000 square foot marina store. So this is that property, again, North River Yacht Club area. Pretty large piece of property here that y'all are probably familiar with. This is the site plan. That kind of circle area is where those condominium units are gonna be going. I have some renderings here for you guys. So this is looking, the lake is behind this photo here.
Look at that.
That's, yeah, and so they're gonna be renovating that existing
You need one of those,
restaurant.
Matthew.
And
You need one of
this
those.
again is just setting a public hearing date for August 23rd.
I like
And
fish.
Is all the infrastructure out there to accommodate this, or is it gonna have to be
We'll be
added by
doing some
them or us?
significant work out
We
there.
gotta do some more.
The key word being they will be doing?
The developers,
Yeah, the developers.
there'll be a lot.
There's some issues on electricity and docks, all kinds of stuff to walk through.
Sewer,
water, sewer.
Water, sewer,
out there.
just little small things.
Will
Yeah.
tie into their own private sewer.
They will.
I'm waiting on the
That look like
electricity
Tokyo.
to come to us.
That look like Tokyo Disneyland.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe it will.
That's all I got.
That's all?
That's all.
We ain't got no more.
Thank you. Any questions, for Zach on anything he just discussed? Thank you, sir. Mayor Maddox.
Yes, sir. Just a few quick hitters here. First, we will be asking for an executive session. Scott can provide you a little bit more details on the exact nature of that. A couple of notes. Next week on the 16th, we've got a couple of really important issues coming before the various committees. At projects committees will be the professional services for the Savings Center and Event Center. And then at administration and policy, we'll be having some recommendations regarding realignment of IPS. If you have any questions on either one of those things, please let the team members know, either LaShonda, Audrey, or myself. We'll certainly be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Reminder that the budget presentation is going to be Thursday afternoon, August 25th from 1:30 to 4:30. And so we are trying to, our internal goal is to finish my budget recommendation by the 13th so we can get it verified to printers and then to you on the 25th. And so we're tracking, and our team has really done a great job of getting a budget to you that I think will give you a lot of opportunities and accomplish a lot of our goals that we all have for our constituents. In texting Mr. Tyner and Mr. Busby, and Randy's going to touch on this in a little bit, if the council decides not to have meetings on the 6th, the team would like to begin budget hearings on that day so that we can go ahead and get started. The calendar works against us if we need to adopt a budget by September 30th. If that day actually would work well for us, and so I know Randy will have some more information on that. Another date to remember is the upcoming TCRIC Finance Committee meeting, which is going to be on the 19th. McWright's Ferry Road, we're clear and ready. It's time to go to bids on that project. We continue to work with the railroad, and we would like to be, tie both McWright's Ferry and MLK Jack Warner Parkway together. But it's, we've got to make some decisions in working with TCRIC. The 19th should be a good meeting to begin the decisions to begin taking shape. So if you can be there, I would ask that the council be there and listen in and even be part of the discussions.
Mayor, are they gonna you expect them to get close to a decision or final recommendations on how to do the financing at that meeting, or is
I
that
would-
still downrange?
This is my inclination and my guess. Judge Robertson's the chair of that committee, so ultimately he will dictate what comes out of that committee. But I think both him and myself and Belinda would like to see some recommendations come out of that 19th meeting to the full TCRIC. Whether the TCRIC's got several decisions to make. One, does it want to use the Alabama Infrastructure Bank for 69 South? Two, if the rates of the Infrastructure Bank are comparable to investment banker rates, do they want to go with an investment banker, or do they want to go with the Infrastructure Bank for 69 South and possibly McWright's Ferry Road and or MLK Jack? They have got to get to a decision point on all of that, because that will really dictate our decision.
It's got huge implications for our decisions coming up in the fall.
And I would rather you be, as much as you can be part of that, I want you part of that, because we're all tied together. And I'm doing dual roles as both chairman and mayor, and trying to bifurcate between both. But I'd like you there so you could hear the calculus in that, because McWright's Ferry is ready to go. Once we get the clearance from the railroad, we'll be ready to go. It's time to get moving on both of those projects. How they're financed is going to be important. I think another thing, I think Mr. Garrison's scheduled to come to this committee at some point next week and compare the infrastructure banks recent interest rates versus ours. I think that's gonna be a very informative discussion for us. And then we can begin making some decisions from there. And that's separate and apart from the whole budget discussion. But these are good, hey, we're to the point of these major projects about to get to the finish line. And that's really exciting. And how we cross it, and we've got to decide that, but we're at that point. So it's really good stuff. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, and certainly Scott will be giving you more information on the executive session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions for the mayor? Okay, Brandy.
Yes. So to touch on what the mayor talked about, if we have, committees and council on the 6th, you'll have projects, finance, admin, properties, council, and budget hearings. So that's a bit of an overload, the day after a holiday. So my recommendation would be to cancel all of our meetings, just focus on the budget that day. We'll start budget hearings on the 30th, more than likely on the 30th. So to add that day, it would keep you guys on track for having the budget adopted before the start of the fiscal year, and you guys get a tiny little break with information, just making sure that you guys have enough time to process and ask questions, all that fun stuff.
That's why I recommend to the mayor that we just do budget on that. I think it's all afternoon, basically 1:30 to.
It's really up to
Sure.
whatever the council wants to schedule, but that would be ideal, 1:30 to 4:30.
Okay. Yes, 1:30, 4:30 on the 6th, and no committees, no council.
Committees, no council, 1:30 to 4:30.
Where'd all our photos go?
They are getting
They're being
reframed and getting
reframed.
some new
What
flags
photos?
on them
We
for
have
Mr.
one?
Tyner.
And Carly will work, or Ms. Andrews will work with Mr. Busby on the agenda for that day.
Somebody stole them. Somebody stole our paintings.
I saw Jerry Plott in here earlier. I don't know what that means.
Somebody really wanted to redesign their home.
Maybe with a dartboard or something like that.
And one more thing, just to remind you guys, we are accepting applications for the Black Warrior Solid Waste Disposal Authority for that term that expires September 1st of 2023. The portal is open. We haven't had any resumes yet, so if anyone's listening and interested, let me know. You can send your email. You can email your resume to me, or you can send it through the website on that portal.
I'll go back to this again, and because I know we all get asked, I'd like to serve on a committee if something comes up. Is there a list people can get on to be notified if there are board openings, or can they just send a?
They can send an email if they'd like.
Email a
They can
resume
keep
to
an
you
eye
now.
on our website. I do my best to get with Richard's team to make sure we update our website when we do have openings. His team also they send out all of our press releases saying, hey, we've got an opening on this board. I think they link them on our Facebook page as well. So I would keep an eye on our Facebook, our website, or just shoot me or Lily an email and say, hey, what's going on?
Okay, so that sounds good. Any questions for Brandy? Speaking of which, 2 little housekeeping notes. Please be remindful of one thing that Vicky does so well for me. All the boards and different meetings that we're all involved with, I get invites. If anybody like Sister City or any other committees or boards I serve on, I have them, I say, well, you contact Vicky, because that way she puts it on our calendars. That way it helps because we're all so busy and it's hard to keep up. And I know she just helped you. And also be very mindful of staff when you set up meetings with staff. If you're going to be late or very late, either cancel or call ahead and let them know, because I've gotten a few complaints, council members not showing up or being late. And you remember this is their 8-hour day or sometimes 10, 12-hour day job. And so their schedules are just as busy and important as ours are. So just kind of be mindful of staff. They're always available, but again, out of courtesy, if you think you're going to be late or it's not going to work at all, make sure you call and don't leave them hanging. Okay. And one other question I have, we need to settle it probably now. Mr. Fell and I had fun last week about who's representing Snow Hinton Park right now with all the votes that are at Snow Hinton Park.
Yeah.
And Mr. Wilson and I had this, I got a message today about coming to a meeting that's not in my district that I was elected to serve, but it will be in my district, hopefully, in 2025. the redistricting we passed,
Took effect as soon as you passed, or as soon as the ordinance was published the following Monday.
because I didn't remember that to be the case before, and the reason why is because those people did not vote for me or vote against me.
And the people that are in the new district will be the people voting for or against you next time. So I would certainly recommend that you consider those to be the ones in effect.
So now, I'm
You
glad.
can come to anything in my district you want.
Well, I got a message about Midtown today, and that's now, that had been in Miss Howard's, now that's in mine. So I didn't accept it right away because I wanted to make sure.
So what does Scott say,
So
is
it's,
now your responsibility or the waste, okay?
yeah.
It's automatic.
And those little houses, remember that little street behind there?
Yeah. That's all your problem?
Yeah, you wanted me to have
Cause
it. She was happy. Ravenson, let me think about it. Oh, yeah, you can have it.
And Miss Howard, you can meet with them, but they can't vote for you next time.
Not legally.
I had the same conversation with someone, and they were asking me if they voted, since they voted this time, would they be in the district until the next time?
That's right.
Even if they were changed.
The districts go into effect when they're published. The only ever real reason why we pay attention to the district lines, though, is the political reality of those are your constituents that can vote for or against you.
Okay.
If that helps.
I just remember the one other time we redistricted, probably 2000, it was early, maybe my second term.
A long time ago.
A long time ago, but I thought Mr. Ennis at that time had said it doesn't take effect till the next election.
So how do the residents know where their voting place is?
Right.
Like for my neighborhood, it changes depending on what type of election it is, primaries, municipal. So do they get notified with this change?
Before re-election, I believe the voter card will go out, and so all their state and federal elections, any countywide elections, all of those polling places will remain the same. Only people whose districts change from 2 to 7 or something like that would they change.
But just for municipal.
But just for
So
municipal
leading up
elections.
like November, that people are gonna vote where they've been voting, right? Well, that clears that up. Thank you for reminding me, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, sir.
And at McFarland Mall in my district, University Mall, I'm sorry, University Mall, I'm dating myself, I look to see you there. No way. It's Forest Lake Methodist Church Saturday.
That's right.
Forest Lake.
Method. That is Miss Howard's district.
Miss Howard's it, but I'm coming to your district. And the Dreckes are having a big dog show.
Yeah.
And come for the two men that are imprisoned in Russia right now that are from Alabama, and one is from Tuscaloosa.
Grew up in Alberta.
Yeah.
The Drukes have, he got a big dog. We're talking the dogs have to be 50 pounds or over to be adopted, because he only wants big dogs adopted, because they're the hardest to find homes for.
But if you adopt a dog, they'll give you dog food and some
free,
other
and
things.
it's free, and they waive the application.
Yeah, so come over to Forest Lake.
You want a 50
Saturday
pound and
morning.
over dog. For the little yappers, they still cost. Yeah, thank you for that, Mr. Vale. All right, we have projects financed in council, so we have a pretty big gap there.
Well, remember, at the end of finance, we've
Yes.
appended
The insurance.
I think four, no, not the insurance.
Community
the
development.
Four, presenters for,
Agenda,
agency
agencies.
funding,
Right.
so
For the budget.
Yeah.
the gap may not be as big
Yeah.
as you
What is
think.
their time limit they were given? Agencies.
Oh, so, each of the ones today were given a 10-minute time.
Okay, it's
Okay.
not too bad. All right, so we have HPC tomorrow, Planning Commission Monday, of course. That master plan, Lake Nickel, Lake Harris, Monday 22nd, and then Mayor's budget presentation to us, 1:30 on Thursday, August 25th.
Mr. President?
Yes,
One
sir.
thing to remind the council, we're supposed to discuss the queuing issue and projects. So I
Right.
hope everybody will hang around to make sure we're voting on what we need to vote on and having the right discussion.
But our
All that.
belief is we did most of the
Yes, sir.
discussing last week.
I hope so.
So we're just gonna
I
be
agree,
further
but we need to make
confused
sure
today.
everybody's all
On the
happy
same
and
page.
that's what everybody wants to do before we.
We'll find something for everybody.
It seemed like it was,
We got
it was a love
close.
fest at the end. So let's see if
I don't
that
think it's
holds.
fair. If we have, if you have queuing there, we should have queuing in Alberta too.
You want it, you can have it.
At the gateway, we want queuing at the gateway. All right,
Yeah,
is there a motion we go into executive session?
Mr. Tyner, as much as I may be saying so at my detriment, I believe we have skipped the city attorney's briefing of the agenda.
Oh, no.
Well, that was probably a little on purpose, but that's okay. It's-
But I'm happy to brief you.
No,
if you
it's the
would like.
highlight of our Tuesdays, and we certainly want to hear from you.
I must say, as a point of clarification, as a point of clarification, because I'm sitting between a former election official and a current election official, I do need to point out for those watching at home that your polling places may change, even though your district didn't change, because the polling places occasionally change with each election.
Very true.
Otherwise, if you'll join me on the top of page 2 under paragraph 8. On page 11, you'll be adding Progress Bank to the banking list. That request comes from Accounting and Finance. On page 12, you'll be authorizing a minor public works contract with MAC Environmental LLC. That is not to exceed $2,200, and that came from projects last week. On page 13, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a renewal of license agreement from the Department of Army for the River Market site. We talked about that project last week as well. On page 14, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a final grant application for the submission to the Federal Aviation Administration for the fiscal year 2022 Airport Improvement Program. That came from projects last week. On page 15, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute amendment number 1 to the agreement with Team Dynamics Solutions LLC. This is for some software and is not to exceed $15,093.60. That is doubled up on tonight's agenda, and you'll hear about it in projects today. On page 16, you'll be establishing the budget for the 2022A warrant series. We discussed that in Finance Committee on July the 12th. On page 17, you'll be establishing the budget for the 2022B warrant series. Again, you discussed that in Finance on July the 12th. On page 21, and I've got some clarification to make with this one, you'll be amending various sections of Chapter 7 of the Code of Tuscaloosa. That came out of admin last week. There was a little bit of confusion, and that confusion may have all been on my part. This is the NAICS code portion of the queuing permits. It's the business licensing portion. It was on admin and is actually on projects today. My recollection was that part actually passed in admin.
I thought we agreed to put a grace period
To the
on
end,
that.
end of the year where we're.
We said till November.
Yes, ma'am, yes, sir. And that is in the ordinance
Okay,
versus the business licensing board. This solely puts those business classifications within our business licensing code.
okay.
So it's also ended up on project's agenda today. What I would ask that we do is table this one tonight. Ultimately, if we don't pass a queuing permit, this will be unnecessary. And so I'd ask that we table this tonight, determine whether or not the queuing permit comes out of projects. And if it does, both of them can go to council together. Does that make sense? These just kind of ended
But
up
that's
as a-
establishing the fee if and when it is implemented.
Yes.
Even if past the grace period, whatever, so technically, it would happen in next year, right?
In- yes.
January,
That's correct. It would go.
Would it be
You would pay those business licenses in January.
right, for the following year, or just, how does that work?
People are revenue experts over here.
Yeah, so they would be due in January, and it would be for your 23 business license.
Okay,
If this is passed, we would still issue them this queuing permit and this license, we would just waive the fee.
All right, that's what we discussed.
that's
And that
That's
gives
what we
us
talked
4
about, that's
months,
what we talked about.
4 months
Evaluate
during
it.
prime football season.
Sure.
And go, hey, this
See
is
what
what
happens.
And I think you can
A&M
table
game.
this one tonight for a week, and I think you can withdraw it as item 2 on your project's agenda today.
Just gonna remind us to table that.
Yes, sir. Okay.
On page 22, you'll be amending section 21-82E of the Code of Tuscaloosa. You heard about that in admin. That is amending to allow tow yards to be located in the TJ. On page 23, you'll be declaring 1620 28th Avenue surplus property and authorizing the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed. You heard about that in properties on the second. On page 24, you'll be declaring 2900 17th Street surplus property and authorizing the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed. You heard about that in properties last week as well. On page 25, you'll be declaring 1603 T.Y. Rogers Avenue surplus property and authorizing the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed. And again, you heard about that in properties last week. We do have one item for executive session. Are there any additional questions for me?
Any questions for Scott? I don't, but I have a question for Ashley. If, it's come to my attention that some gastropubs are not acting as gastropubs. If that is the case, do y'all, how is that, I guess, I know your situation with staff because one of the things we discussed yesterday, I know manpower is hopefully something that we're gonna help you with, but, what do you do to make sure people are, say, serving lunch?
We've been, our code enforcement officers and TPD have teamed up and they do door polls at lunchtime, for the known gastropubs, and they'll pull a door and go in and see what's going on inside, and we do periodic sweeps. We just wrapped one up a couple weeks ago. And surprisingly, somehow, even in the hot month of July, people were okay, which again, is surprising.
Gotcha.
But we follow up on all of our gastropubs. Now remember, and I think not everything is a gastropub, not everything is a bar, not everything is a restaurant. So those that we have classified as gastropubs, those are what we're pulling doors on.
I will, I'll see you afterwards because it may not, the ones I've been told about may not be a gastropub. They just maybe think it is.
That's perfect.
We'll find it. Thank you. Is there a motion that we go into executive session?
Motion?
Second.
Motion second. Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir. As your city attorney and attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Alabama, I can certify that this would be to discuss preliminary negotiations involving matters of trade or commerce in which the governmental body is in competition with private individuals or entities or other governmental bodies in Alabama or in other states or foreign nations, or to discuss matters, the discussion of which would have a detrimental effect upon the competitive position of a party to the negotiations.
Okay, we have,
We got a basketball.
we got to turn our phones in, please. We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Don't,
Okay, if you're
don't
not
ever